Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into the story of Whitefield, that area in eastern Bangalore. We've got some really interesting material here that maps out its journey.
We do. It covers the history, the incredible growth, and really what Whitefield is like today.
Exactly. And for everyone listening, what we want to do is figure out how this place went from, well, basically farmland, an agricultural settlement, to this huge global IT hub and a real multicultural center, too. There are definitely some surprising bits in here.
There are. It's quite a transformation.
So let's dive in. Where do we start? The sources take us way back, late 19th century, 1882, is it?
That's right, 1882. That's when the Maharaja of Mysore, Sri Chamarajendra Wadiyar, granted a pretty large chunk of land, 3,900 acres.
Wow, 3,900 acres? For what
It
purpose?
was specifically for setting up a European and Anglo-Indian settlement.
Mm.
And it wasn't free, though the cost seems tiny now, just ours, 2,764.
Huh, just nominal, really. And who got this land? The names are interesting. David White, Gaydon Garden, Hallwell Green, Rossmund.
Yeah, those were the recipients. The source doesn't say exactly why them, but the goal was clearly to establish that specific type of community.
Right. And this land included several existing villages, didn't it?
Oh yes, places like Nallurahalli, Hagandanahalli, Kadugodi, Shigalli, Dadakanelli, uh, Chikakanelli, Kadathi, Katamaranahalli, Gunjur, Vellore, even part of Chikkabalandur. It covered a fair bit of ground.
You really get a sense of the scale, and the idea back then was agriculture.
Primarily, yes. The vision was for a settlement focused on working the land. Farming, maybe some horticulture.
Makes sense given what the sources say about the conditions.
Exactly. They mentioned fertile land, a pleasant climate. It sounds quite idyllic, actually. Very peaceful, rural, a world away from the Whitefield of today.
And the name Whitefield, it seems pretty clear it comes from David White, right? The Anglo-Indian lawyer you mentioned.
That seems the most likely origin, yeah. His name just stuck to the place.
So picture this, late 1800s, early 1900s, a quiet sort of agricultural outpost. How long did it stay like that?
For quite some time, actually. Our sources indicate it remained a relatively small village well into the mid-20th century. So decades of being this quiet little place before, well, before everything changed.
Which brings us to the big shift, the IT boom. This is where Whitefield's story really takes off, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the real catalyst seems to be the establishment of International Tech Park India, ITPL, back in 1998.
ITPL. Okay, so what was it about ITPL that flipped the switch?
Well, it essentially created a nucleus. It provided high-quality infrastructure specifically designed for tech companies. It was like putting up a giant sign saying, Whitefield is open for IT business.
And that signal was received loud and clear?
Definitely. It acted like a magnet. Suddenly, you had major global IT companies looking at Whitefield, Infosys, Wipro, TCS, lots of big names started setting up shop there.
So it wasn't just one company, it was a wave.
A wave, exactly. It quickly transformed Whitefield into a major IT corridor for Bangalore. The growth was, well, rapid.
I can imagine, and that must have had huge ripple effects beyond just the tech companies themselves.
Oh, absolutely. Think about all these new jobs, people moving in. It spurred massive development in housing, for starters.
Right, you needed places for all these professionals to live, upscale apartments, gated communities, that kind of thing.
Precisely. And not just housing. International schools popped up for the families moving in. Modern amenities followed shopping malls, entertainment centers. The whole infrastructure had to level up.
The sources mention Phoenix Market City and VR Bengaluru. Those are big developments. They must have changed the whole vibe of the place.
They really did. They became focal points, not just for shopping, but for socializing, leisure. They fundamentally altered the lifestyle and, the economic landscape too, shifted it more towards services and consumption.
But this kind of explosive growth, it rarely happens without some, let's say, growing pains.
That's definitely true. The speed of urbanization put enormous pressure on the existing infrastructure.
Traffic must have become a nightmare.
Oh yeah. Traffic congestion is one of the biggest challenges mentioned. Plus, strains on water supply, waste management. The usual suspects when a place grows that fast. Environmental concerns too, naturally.
Are things being done to fix it? The sources mention road widening, the metro.
Yes, efforts are ongoing. The Nama Metro connection to Whitefield was a huge step aimed at easing the traffic burden. Road improvements too. But the consensus seems to be that while these help, keeping up with the growth is a constant battle. More work is needed.
It's fascinating, though, that even with all this modernity, all this concrete and glass, you can still find bits of the old Whitefield.
You can, yeah. It hasn't been completely erased. There are remnants, like the old historic Anglican church, which is quite striking.
A direct link back to that original settlement era.
Exactly. And you might find some older buildings here and there, maybe some surprisingly green spaces still holding on. They serve as these little reminders of where it all started.
Like anchors to its past amidst the hustle and bustle.
Sort of, yeah. Little pockets of history, offering a different perspective, maybe a bit of peace within the very modern, very busy Whitefield of today.
So looking at Whitefield now, it's not just an IT hub anymore, is it? It's become something else, too.
That's a key point. It's also become incredibly multicultural. The IT boom drew people from all over India, and indeed from around the world.
So the demographic makeup is completely different from, say, 50 years ago.
Completely. It's described as having a really cosmopolitan atmosphere now. You've got this melting pot of people living and working together.
And you probably see that reflected in daily life. Food, culture.
For sure. The range of restaurants, the different cultural events you might find, social activities, it all reflects this diverse population. It adds a whole other layer to Whitefield's identity.
So when you step back and look at the whole arc, from that 1882 land grant for farming to this bustling, globalized tech center and multicultural community, it's quite incredible.
It really is an amazing story of transformation. It shows just how profoundly economic forces and technological shifts can reshape a place, sometimes in just a few decades,
And yet, as we said, those little fragments of the past still peek through.
which is perhaps part of what makes its story so compelling.
Definitely. And that leaves us with something to think about for everyone listening. When you consider Whitefield's journey, what do you think are the really key ingredients that drive such massive urban and economic change? And maybe what lessons can we draw from Whitefield for other places experiencing rapid development today? Something to ponder.